Hello everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite pretty simple recipes. It's a cornbread and collard green, I don't really know what you'd call it. Maybe a casserole I think would be the closest thing. So anyway, I'm going to start off. I have some Italian sausage here. I prefer hot Italian sausage, so I'm going to slice up some of that and get that frying in the pan. Then I'll slice up some onions and slice up these collard greens, or actually I'll just kind of tear them up, throw them in there, and let the collard greens wilt and let the onions cook a little bit. And then we'll go on to make a cornbread recipe, just using the recipe on the bag. This is Indian head cornmeal. So now that the sausage is on its way to being done, just slicing up these onions, and I'll slide them in there. Keep in mind, keep this on a low heat when you put the onions in and the collard greens, because you don't want to burn the onions. You just want to slowly brown them and let them get nice and sweet and caramelized. Now the onions are on their way to becoming nice and translucent, so I'm going to start putting the collard greens in. I'm just going to kind of peel the leaf away from the stem, because the stem isn't the most pleasant thing to chew on. Tear the leaf off, and I'll just rip it up in a couple pieces, dump it in. You don't really need to chop it or anything, because the leaf does simmer down quite a bit, just like spinach or kale or anything else. Now that the collard greens are all mixed in and simmering down, I have the stove turned way down on low heat just to keep everything warm and let everything get nice and caramelized and mingle all the flavors. Now I'm going to focus on making a recipe, one recipe's worth of cornbread. I like the recipe on the bag here. If you like, hit the pause on your video and write that down, or just use whatever recipe you like. Okay, so my cornbread batter is all mixed up. Into this I'll pour my last ingredient, a can of whole kernel corn. In the past I've also used creamed corn, which works, but I think kernel corn is a little better because you get real whole kernels. Creamed corn is a little more mushy. So I'll stir this around. Remember not to overwork your batter once you've mixed it all together and the baking soda starts doing its thing. You don't want to work it up too much. Also here I have some sliced up pepper jack cheese. You could use cheddar or Colby Jack or whatever you like, but I like things a little spicy, so I'm going to use some pepper jack. Now into a baking pan, I think this is a 9 by 13 or so. I'm going to pour in my collard greens and onion and sausage mixture that I cooked up. Spread that around. Oh, and also you should preheat your oven to about 375. That's what I'm going to try. Now I'm going to sprinkle my cheese pieces. Let's see, this is almost one block of cheese that I cut up. Now, cornbread mixture, or batter I should say. There you go. I'm just going to spread the batter evenly over the top. Now we're ready to go. Let's slide this in the oven. Okay, we're all set. Look at that. That looks pretty good. Slight golden color on top. through a little section, make sure, yes indeed, everything's cooked all the way through. So now the tough part is letting this cool a little bit. Then the best part, sampling it. Okay, let's spatula out a section here. In the past what I used to do is mix everything together, but I found it's a little better if you make it in layers. Especially for the cheese. I used to grate the cheese and mix it in with the cornbread, and the cheese just kind of disappeared. But if you leave it in chunks, well, it stays in chunks. A lot better that way. Well, there it is. See, there's some cheese in there. Oh, this looks good. Let's give this a try. Oh, I see it. Here's a chunk of cheese. That's going to be my first bite. You got to select it. Select a little bit of everything here. Some collards. There's a piece of sausage. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just as good as I remember. Just as good as I remember it. It's a little bit of everything in one bite. It's greens, it's a side dish, it's meat, it's some bread, cornbread, all in one bite. It's very good. It's a good, quick, easy food. All you need is one pan and one baking pan. Well, as always, the second bite is just as good as the first. Well, I'm going to sit down and enjoy the rest of this. Thank you again for joining me in the kitchen and watching me cook something. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Maybe you'll get inspired and try a dish like this. And remember, use what you got and use what you like. If you don't like something, if you don't like collard greens but you like kale, give that a try. Although I will say I did try kale once and it wasn't as good as collard greens because collard greens tend to stay a little bit more moist. But anyway, enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give me a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay tuned for more.